it's not you, it's me instead. Ay, I wanted to ride with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna leave a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. Shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead.
Good.
You could hear me now? You sure you could hear me, sir? I was say you could hear me. No, man. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Are you able to hear what I'm saying? Are you able to hear me speaking about the traffic laws or specifically the incident that happened over the weekend or since the last show? If you are able to hear me in the audience, that tell me, feel. Okay, okay. So I was speaking about the accident. Um, that was awful too. In a heartbreaking start to 2025, police have confirmed the nation's first homicide and road fatality of the year. The death of 4-year-old Makari Edwards, 4-month-old Makari Edwards, and I apologize once again if I'm not pronouncing that appropriately. It could be Makari, but Makari. Nice name, either way. In a devastating head-on collision near the Ross Veterinary School of Medicine on Saturday. A police statement issued Sunday revealed the arrest of Glenn Keith Richardson, a resident of Wingfield Road, Old Road, on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. Traffic collision details. The crash occurred between 4 p.m. and 4:30 when two vehicles traveling in opposite directions collided head-on. Richardson was driving east towards Bastille, while the westbound vehicle was operated by Tian Phipps of Farms Project Sandy Point. Passengers in Richardson's vehicle: Baby Makari Edwards, who tragically succumbed to injuries shortly after the accident. 23-year-old Khadija Lewis, who suffered two broken legs and underwent emergency surgery at the Joseph N. France Hospital. You see, that's what I was saying. She got no. And I think this is also the reigning swimsuit queen in Nevis also. Both drivers sustained minor injuries and were treated at the hospital. Arrest and investigation. Police confirmed Richardson's arrest on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. Authorities are now conducting a thorough investigation into the circumstances of this tragic accident. A nation grieves. The death of baby Makari has sent shockwaves to the community, with calls for stricter traffic laws and enforcement to prevent such tragedies. This incident underscores the urgent need for road safety reforms, including laws mandating child car seats, which remain absent in St. Kitts and Nevis. Stay tuned for updates as this developing story. Oh my God, I feel shoot. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to that last part of there being a lack of laws mandating car seats, this is actually false. And we will discuss um, the laws and whether or not they are appropriate, whether there should be more of them, whether they should be stricter in force. I would kind of disagree. I think in sync, my experience has been that the laws with regards to seatbelts have been strictly enforced. Or when I drive with my escape partner, he does let me to know you need to put on your seatbelt at this moment in time, buddy. I hate that the mother has to go through this. Could have been different. The child was secured in a car seat. It's a serious crime not to have children secured in their car seats. Car seats save lives. I hate to see it. The driver of the oh, we went too fast. The laws are too loose in SKM. I if you could possibly pull back up Jasmine's post. Uh, it is not a matter of whether the laws are too loose. The laws are well. I have to see your point, but the laws are actually there with regards to what the gentleman was charged with. If anything, but the driver of the vehicle with the car with the child should have made sure that the child was in the car seat. He's just as culpable. Is there a fine for that in the Federation? Too many people driving with children in their laps and in the back seat standing. Suppose someone hit you from the back at the from the back. Oh, and the child gets ejected from the vehicle. Parents need to do better. That is from Jasmine. And you know she's a caring, concerning mommy. Wow. And fierce too, you know, and here she when she gets inside of the vehicle that you need to be strapped in. Let us get down to the charges that the man is facing, which is death by dangerous driving, section 50, death by dangerous driving. Any person who causes the death of another person by the driving of a motor vehicle on a road recklessly or at a speed or in a manner which is dangerous to the public, having regard to all the circumstances of the case, including the nature, condition, and use of the road, and the amount of traffic which is actually at the time, or which might reasonably be expected on the road, shall be liable on conviction and indictment to imprisonment for 5 years. Um, that is an entire mouthful. So I'm gonna go back over all of that. So if you cause the death of another person, in this case the baby died, by driving a motor vehicle, whether it is recklessly or at a speed, and we go understand reckless covers circumstances where you're on the road and you're doing something what you ain't supposed to be doing. Like you burn out them kind of thing there and you manage to hit somebody. Yeah, you're reckless. There is the provision of at a speed, which is plain if you drive faster than is necessary. Or you're driving in a manner, driving and texting, them kind of thing there, which is dangerous. They could be in combination. And they say, we get into the circumstances, they're looking upon the size of the road basically. What the traffic does look like. What the traffic does look like normally, and also at that particular moment in time. So what could have been reasonably expected? And for example, we would know that that is typically a busy road. So you will be expected to take your time in that particular part. I think it's you're supposed to take your time in any part. I think it's really. And they will just look at the traffic at the time. In which case, if you never a lot, you're supposed to take it easy. If you got a lot, you're supposed to take it easy. So I mean, I really not gonna save you as far as that. And you're facing 5 years. I think that before this is increased, we should look and see. Well, let me see. My concern with this is for persons who may want to give someone a ride. We usually would stop for a lady with kids, but we have to be careful since you won't have a child seat in the car unless we have a child. Should we refrain from giving rides? That is very interesting. I would tell you that as far as the law is concerned, and we will get to that part, but as far as the law is concerned, when it comes to certain children, you should not give them a ride because it becomes illegal and you are endangering the child. So maybe the question you need to ask is, are you willing to endanger a child because you have good intentions? Another comment from Lionel Starby Apprentice. The police in SKN have the capability to perform breathalyzer tests. If so, were any of the drivers in any of the recent accidents tested for DUI? This is also another interesting question, Mr. Prentice. There is a provision speaking about breathalyzer tests. I am unaware if any have been performed. I am not even certain if the man does ask people to walk like a straight line. So I don't know what particular tests are being done to persons. We could go to the DOA section. But anyway, as I was saying, so you would face, so this person would be facing 5 years in prison if they choose to take this thing to trial. The second section goes on to say, if upon the trial of a person for an offense against this section, the jury is not satisfied that his or her driving was the cause of the death, but is satisfied that he or she is guilty of driving as mentioned in subsection 1 of this, it shall be lawful for the jury to convict him or her of the offense under section 48 of this act, or not section 48 of this act. Oh, oh yeah, of the act, whether or not the requirements of section 54 of this act have been satisfied. Another long speech that is just to say that if they they could find you guilty of dangerous driving if they do not ultimately feel like the driver was the cause of the death, which I think this is gonna come into conversations about where the child was in the vehicle, whether there was a car seat, and this gonna come down to whether there was contribution from the persons in the vehicle with regards to what happened to the child. Sections 32 of the Coroner's Act shall apply to the offense against this section as it applies to manslaughter. That section in the Coroner's Act not really relevant to what we're talking about right now. A person who causes the death of another person by the driving of a motor vehicle on a road without due care and attention, or without reasonable consideration for other persons using the road, commits an offense and shall be liable upon conviction to imprisonment for a term of 3 years. This is not, the person is not facing this particular charge. This is just an additional circumstance where, as you see, they're saying no, if the death is caused because you're aiming, paying due care and attention, or reasonable consideration for other persons on the road. So, and you're facing 3 years in that circumstance. I had time for the breath test. I get to the breath test. Section 41 is supposed to be 43. Breath test. So this is the section with regards to breathalyzers. A member of the police force in uniform may require any person driving or attempting to drive a motor vehicle on a road to provide a specimen of breath for a breath test there or nearby if the member of the police force has reasonable cause to suspect him or her of being under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I do not know how that is going to work in the case of drugs, but drugs are alcohol. And having committed a traffic offense while the vehicle was in motion. All of this. Now, one key thing you got to remember here, he said a member of a police force in uniform. In uniform. Which means they have handicapped themselves. I do not know why. I may have missed it, but does the act have anything about car seat requirements? We're going to get to that spoiler flex. It does have something about car seat requirements. It does. With regards to the breath test. So the officer got to be in a uniform. This can't be no out of uniform officer all of a sudden come get ask you nothing about no breath test. That is impossible for the officer. Go home and put on your uniform and come back and we're ready to go. And the officer must have a reasonable cause to feel like you are under the influence, one. And not just that you have committed a traffic offense while the vehicle was in motion. I feel like that is kind of unbelievable. Okay. The proviso take care of that. But he said no requirement may be made by virtue of paragraph B unless it is made as soon as reasonably practicable after the commission of the traffic offense. Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like I don't see some people on a sunshine and them they ain't supposed to get in them vehicle. Me not got to see them in the jail. Oh no. They wasn't supposed to get in the vehicle. So if an accident occurs owing to the presence of a motor vehicle on a road, a member of the police force in uniform once again may require any person whom he or she has reasonable cause to believe was driving or attempted to drive the vehicle at the time of the accident to provide a specimen of breath for a breath test. Except while that, this is subsection A, except while that person is at a hospital as a patient either at or near the place where the requirement is made, or if the member of the police force thinks at a police station. Oh, sorry. I was confused by the provision. So anyway, sponsor, if you were involved in an accident and the police feel like you were under the influence, they could ask for a breath test. That'd be uniform. Yeah. And well, except that, except while that person is at a hospital as a patient, either at or near that place where the requirement is made, or if the member of the police thinks fit. So basically, I think you mean in a hospital or a police station. You don't go. In the said except case at the hospital, but the person shall not be required to provide such specimen while at a hospital as a patient if the medical practitioner in immediate charge of his or her case is not first notified of the proposal to make the requirement, objects to the provision of the specimen on the ground that the provision or the requirement to provide it would be prejudicial to care or treatment of the patient. Oh my God. All what a language they mean is they will not take the specimen if it is gonna hurt you, and you got to ask the doctor first. That's it. In a lot of colorful language. Next, a person who, without reasonable excuse, fails to provide a specimen of breath for a breath test under section 1 or 2 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction, that means before a magistrate, to a fine of $1,000 or imprisonment 6 months, or both. So you're facing either a $1,000 fine, 6 months in HMP, or both if you fail to provide a breathalyzer test upon reasonable requests from officers. If it appears to a member of the police force, let me see. They don't study that. Yeah, I believe. Oh, so I make sure I ain't miss anything from y'all. If it appears to a member of the police force, in consequence of a breath test carried out by him or her on a person under subsection 1 or 2, that the device by means of which the test is carried out indicates that the proportion of the alcohol in that person's blood exceeds the prescribed limit, the member of the police force may arrest that person without warrant, except while that person is at a hospital as a patient. Basically, if they do the test and you blow hot, you are blowing fire on that breathalyzer test, the officer has the right to arrest you without a warrant. He's good to go. If a person required by a member of the police force under subsection 1 or 2 to provide a specimen of breath for a breath test fails to do so, and the member of the police force has reasonable cause to suspect him or her of having alcohol in his or her body, the member of the police force may arrest him or her without warrant, except while he or she is at a patient at the hospital. So if you fail to provide a breathalyzer test, the only way you ain't getting locked up is if you check in at the hospital as a patient. They can't lock you up there. You're in the hospital, you're a patient. Well, let me let you know, they will wait until you take one step outside the old patient there, but they get while you're inside. Subsections 4 and 5 shall not be construed as prejudicing the provisions of section 40.3. I do not know 40.3. Person arrested under this section or under 40.3 while at a police station while at a police station, be given an opportunity to provide a specimen of a breast test there. So apparently, the police are supposed to be able to offer you breath test. In addition to that, there is also driving under the influence of liquor or drugs. Any person who, when driving or attempting to drive, or when in charge of a motor vehicle on a road, is under the influence of drink or drug to such extent as to be incapable of having proper control of the vehicle, just good on a sunshine on a weekend, shall be liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $4,000 or to imprisonment with or without hard labor for a term not exceeding 4 months, and in the case of a second or subsequent conviction, either to a fine not exceeding $8,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year, or to both such fine or imprisonment. So, for driving under the influence, which I guess the breathalyzer is the second part to finding out whether or not you're over the prescribed limits and whatnot. But this not even talking about no prescribed limit. This is talking about if you are incapable of having proper control of the vehicle. In a first instance, $4,000. Second instance, $8,000. First instance, 4 months, and in the second instance, 1 year in jail. And then I say without hard labor. So you will be one of the people who have to go and pay for the government. You better believe that. A person convicted of an offense under this section shall, without prejudice to the power of the court, to order a longer period of disqualification, be disqualified for a period of 12 months from the date of the conviction, and if there is an appeal against the conviction, from the date on which the conviction is upheld for holding or obtaining a driver's license, and on a second conviction for a like offense, he or she shall be permanently disqualified from holding or obtaining a driver's license. What? I did not this. Isn't that a lot of power? Gigi, I'm gonna try to find the prescribed limit. But if basically my interpretation of that is that if you convicted under this section, yeah, you're gonna be disqualified from driving for 12 months in the first instance. And that seemed automatic. And in the second instance, you permanently disqualified. So if you get if you're convicted for a DUI twice, you can't drive again in Singleton. Any member of the police force may arrest without warrant any person convicting an offense under this section, and police ain't got need no warrant to lock you up for DUI. I feel like that's a tremendous amount of power. Blood alcohol level. If a person attempts to drive, if a person drives or attempts to drive or is in charge of a motor vehicle on a road, having consumed alcohol in such a quantity that the proportion thereof in his blood, as ascertained from laboratory tests for which he subsequently provides a specimen under Section 44, exceeds the prescribed limit at the time he provides a specimen, he commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of $2,000 or to imprisonment for a term of 12 months, or both in the case of a first conviction, to a fine of $4,000 or imprisonment for 2 years. So this is even different. Yo, this lie is confusing. Anyway, person shall not be convicted under this section of being in charge of a motor vehicle if he proves that at the material time the circumstances were such that there was no likelihood of his driving the motor vehicle, so long as there was any probability so so long as there was any probability of his having alcohol in his body in a proportion exceeding the prescribed limit. So I guess you tell them you've been asleep on the side of the road and you're not gonna go drive until you catch back yourself. I don't know. Breath test, breath test, breath test. I am looking for the prescribed limit and I am not seeing a particular number. Proceedings. This is speaking about the lab. I don't think anything about the lab. Interpretation. Breath test. Fail. Okay. Prescribed limits. I'll finally find it. The prescribed limit for alcohol means, and I have no idea what this means in terms of alcohol. I've probably been over this many, many times. But the prescribed limit means 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milligrams of blood, are such other proportions as may be prescribed. No, well, you know, got no other. Well, maybe. No, you know, no other. That's it. So 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milligrams of blood. That seems like a lot of alcohol. He said a person shall be treated for the purposes of sections 41 as providing a specimen of blood only if he consents to the specimen being taken by a medical practitioner, and it is so taken and shall be treated for those purposes as providing it at the time it is so taken. So apparently you could give blood as well if you consent. Providing specimen of breath for the breast test are references to providing a specimen thereof is sufficient quantity. Okay. This is another definition that they have here. And this is the medical people supposed to be starting this out, right? For the purposes of section 40 and this section, 107 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of urine and 35 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath shall be treated as equivalent to 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood, and the power conferred by subsection 1 to prescribe some other proportion of alcohol in the blood shall include power to prescribe a proportion of alcohol in the urine, which is to be treated as proportion equivalent to the prescribed proportion of alcohol in the blood. So I guess those are the mathematics from them things. I don't understand anything about milligrams and in blood and better is the best. It was over the proceed and the child, everything was driving. No. The next thing is we're going to get towards the driving with car seats. You were asking if there's anything with car seats. After tinting is car seat belt and them thing. Hold on, guys. With regards to seat belts, no person shall operate a motor vehicle unless the driver and any passenger in the front seat of the vehicle are adequately restrained by a seat belt. That means you can't drive a vehicle in St. Nevis without without a seat belt in the front seat. Your mission is impossible. They got you for that. A passenger who is age of 5 years or weighing less than 40 pounds shall be restrained in a specially designed, detachable, or removable seat in such conditions as prescribed by the minister. And the minister did prescribe some particular conditions, which we're going to get to as well. But the primary thing to take away from that is anybody is under 5 years weighs less than 30 pounds, they're supposed to be in a car seat. The only time the section does not apply is if the passenger has some kind of physical disability, which prevents them from being restrained by a car seat. And this has to be certified by a medical practitioner. With regards to the punishment, if you act contrary to this subsection, you are liable to a fine not exceeding, well, subsection 1. So if somebody in the front seat does not have a seat belt, you could get fined up to $1,000. In the case of the child, if you do not have a child properly restrained, you can be liable to a fine of up to $5,000. Well, once again, the question would be whether or not this is adequate, or whether they will step it up, and the step up will be interpreted as that will be restraining to the people, and how will they operate in that environment. With regards to the role, let me see, I think somebody said something. Can't see. They say, well, you say can't see. They say child seat means a specially designed, detachable, or removable seat to accommodate a passenger who weighs less than 40 pounds or who is 3 feet or less in height. So see, they bring in another criteria here. If the person is less than 3 feet in height, they got to go in a car seat. Yes, the provision. They say the driver of a vehicle shall ensure that once that vehicle is in motion, that a child seat that contains a passenger shall be positioned in the rear seat of the vehicle. So, as soon as the vehicle starts, the child seat is going to be in the rear of the vehicle. So you can't just strap in the child in the front neither. There is no provision dealing with a child being in the front of the vehicle where they are less than 3 feet tall, less than 40 pounds, less than 5 years old. Go in the back, go sit down in your child seat in those particular circumstances. Section 2. Child seat shall be used in any case where a passenger is under the height of 3 feet. As was said, a child seat referred to in subregulation 2 must be suitable for the weight of the particular passenger and must be installed and used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. It's basic understanding. Don't put it in the car seat and try to modify the car seat or make it something else. Just use it as a car seat. Any passenger who is under the age of 14 years. So this again is a child safety thing. So for anybody under the age of 14, they must be restrained by a seatbelt while riding as a passenger in a motor vehicle, irrespective of whether they are seated in the front or the back. So it's not just for the children, as in like babies, but also if you're under 14 years old, you have to be restrained in a seatbelt no matter where you are in the vehicle. And that only does not apply if you are in a passenger bus. So all down to the driver to be responsible for their occupant. Here, it's not passengers will be fine, it's the driver. Well, Mr. Jeffers, my interpretation of the law is that the driver in St. Kitts and Nevis bears the responsibility, because I do not feel like, for example, you could find the baby. I don't feel like at this moment in time you could find the young lady whose legs were broken. Child stuff is like Cassie should be exempt from custom charges. Definitely that should be exempt from custom charges. Yeah, especially in Nevis, because in Nevis we want to boost the population. So this is one of the things what we're going to be fighting for in 2025. Child safety stuff need to be free custom duty in 2025, so we could boost the population, protect the children in the cars. Don't have anything else. Me glad nobody asked me about 10 more. I had seen the age discussing thing during the Christmas vacation, and it dawned on me that the age is not a serious person. So thank you all for not asking me anything with regards to the thing last night. Yeah. So that is basically it. We're talking about these the traffic violations and the traffic laws. Well, those very particular parts of it, because it's a very long legislation, and I'm sure even though I make fun of the thing, there are kind of parts of it that you could get to. Because I asked me about things where I didn't know I was going to do that with the laser. Next thing I want to speak about is the airport. Uh, and specifically in the airport, I wanted to speak about the environmental assessment, environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment. Social and environmental impact assessment. They combine them into one. They roll them in. I still do have certain parts of the document that I would like to read, but the AG will have to put them in place. Yes, definitely. I'm rooting for the AG to get them in place. Yeah, Mr. AG. With regards to the airport, I have some concerns. The major concern with regards to the airport that I have is that we have seen a track record from the premier to know that he could get a road project done. That is of that there is no doubt. Line forces need to take the lead and be example with the safety guidelines, because on and off, dirty are gonna say, wow. Oh yeah, the only thing I wanted to say with regards to the last part that I read about the safety guidelines is that there was no penalty when they was talking about the child got to be under 3 feet and them type of thing. There was no part saying, well, if you don't do it, well, you're in breach. It seemed like it was just guideline to say, well, this is what it should look like. Although it might got some kind of complication, some other part dealing with it. But anyway, to the airport. Premier has not fulfilled and shown me an ability to finish major capital project outside the roads. I will give you water to Mr. Premier. To an extent, I won't give you water. And to an extent, I won't give you roads too. I was amazed on my visit last year to see a school, but with children seated on the same amount. This is crazy. No way you see that outside. They're scared. Wow. Stomach. School buses sound like giving you boy. Premier will be touting how much a students want education. The reason for alarm with the airport, ladies and gentlemen, is that the airport estimates are between 37 and 47 million United States dollars. So we are going to be investing 100 million. And nine, Mr. Mark Brantley, if he tell you 100 million, get ready for 150. That's the way how this thing gonna go. No. Please don't do that. Anyway, I'm gonna be conservative and say 150. I'm not gonna go all the way, even though we see the hospital look like he gonna double already. But the hospital is an example of a major capital project we have not seen finishing, and my skepticism with regards to the premier is that this is not something where we're gonna invest. We say we're gonna put in 20 million and we're gonna be able to kind of scale. This is something when you put in $100 million, you got to be able to recoup ROI, return on investment. I don't think that the choices being exempted would work as it would be in conflict with individuals who would seek to sell the car seats locally. I think the child seat tax or fee upon registration of vehicles. Child seat tax. That one the kind of tense for you, crazy. You want to people who not gonna child. You have to child seat tax the child right, you know that? Anyway, people are paying insurance or accident or they're not getting so. Yeah. If you want to charge people who child or they're not getting nothing. As I say, the airport, the extra 50 should be paid towards the outstanding balances over to the entertainers from Culture. At least there are no entertainers owed from Culture. And if the entertainers are owed from Culture, them know that I say you go all the time. I hope I sign contract on it. I want to see some contract sign. But on a little small Culture thing, I hear Coban block up. I hear you ain't got no Coban. At least you how that go. We're gonna fill in the gap. How the long jam gonna go? If you ain't got no Coban. A Coban gonna just be a long jam circumstance. I said that doesn't break news. Anybody say that there? Anyway, back to the airport. When you invest $100 million, as we are proposing to do, and when now you are saying that you are going to transform the country, not just from an accessibility standpoint, but that accessibility now is gonna be to the point where it's gonna have spill-off effects, generate jobs at the airport and around the airport, in the communities as well, because I got Nisbet there and Mount Nevis who you're pushing. So I am not necessarily thrilled that are under new management. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna work. Poor bill off a particular individual. Poor without poor. Yeah. I want to talk about some of the recommendations that they have for the airport. Of course, they say it is recommended at the start of the operations. Yeah, to start operations immediately after the expansion. One of the recommendations is to implement a noise policy. That's fair. No problem there. Conduct a post entry into operations noise assessment after the expansion by the measuring of 3 points given. Takeoff path. So they're gonna got to measure over by Nisbet. But that is good. Somebody gonna get some money there. Oh, comment. Carry out an investigation to know the GHG concentrations at different times. Basically, they're gonna have to check the air to ensure. Good evening. They're gonna have to check the ear to make sure that there is not any extra contaminants concentrations. Conduct research on the birds that frequent the airport environment in order to know their habits and to be able to collaborate in their resilience. That's going to be interesting. I like this. Implement the airport environmental management system that includes all the activities of the airfield, its control, registration, and monitoring. All very good. Nothing alarming as yet. Assimilate electric vehicles for internal transportation and specific airfield operations to reduce fuel consumption. That means the premier is gonna be linking up with Elon Musk. There's gonna be some Cybertrucks transporting these things. Elon Musk got electric trucks. I love it. Elon Musk got to get some kind of luggage truck. Right? If you can satellite a space, I feel like Elon won't be able to yeah, something up or something like that. So there's gonna be electric vehicles over there apparently. Establish a systematic interaction with the country's public health authorities, basically health department of health or some kind of base over there. Optimization of fuel supply routes and schedules from the port to the airfield's fuel station. This fuel supply story, at least I see us no man. This is not good enough. I can culture on my girl. This is boy. I I hear the next part more culture man. I bet nobody could tell me who gonna be in charge of culture again. This is well. How you mean? I can't believe certain things I've been here about culture to the well, I really not. I got this culture. I'm on 51. Yeah, what I was saying about the fuel supply routes. This might actually be a real opportunity to make some money. And Mr. Premier, I'm looking at you, and I'm hoping that on this one, that you could deliver for me. I came to discover very recently that the island of St. Barts has been selling fuel. And I was like, I never hear St. Barts find oil or nothing like that. So they are going about it in a different manner. They have been selling fuel to like high-end yachts and boats and this type of thing. However, if we can sell it to private jets, I see no reason why it ain't basically the same thing. So I will be looking at this fuel farm keenly to see what type of number we could put in. Because there is a model whereby this can be profitable and successful. So please, Mr. Premier, don't fuck it up, man. You're in the energy business now. Get our energy done so that you can understand the aspect. Because as I said, although we are not going to go into it from a marine perspective, from an aviation perspective, sell some aviation fuel. Promote cooperation and awareness among airport operators, airline service providers, and passengers on the importance of reducing the water footprint. Very lovely. maintain collaboration and exchange with the surrounding population with a view to resolving environmental conflicts and conflicts of interest. What? And conflicts of interest? So if me find a conflict of interest going on in the airport deal, me could talk about it? Maybe it's a good thing, maybe about it. Maybe it's a good thing. I really read that. There was also some recommendations to the constructor of the airport, and there was one in particular that I found interesting. Let me just go through it. Establish alternative routes to transfer the construction materials from quarries, concrete and asphalt plants to the worksite, and signalize roads and place police protection during peak traffic hours. When they say signalize roads, I am not certain if they're talking about they're gonna actually do some kind of traffic lights over in somebody airport. The signalizing the road could be something different. It's possible, I guess. No, that's the right. Appropriate selection of technology, technical solutions, and technical equipment for the construction activity in the expansion area. Yeah. Design of the exploit Design the exploitation of quarries using appropriate techniques for extraction, transport, and storage of the construction material. Carefully plan the restoration of the quarries. I didn't know you could restore a quarry. These are open the local initiative for the beautification of the roundabout, either with a water fountain, lights, or plants offering identity and distinctive element. So, last week I said Nevis only got one roundabout. Boom. Before. Oh no, Nevis got two roundabouts. How then you say we got one roundabout? They got a roundabout. Why can't you remember what them man forget? In the article. So we got two. And before Town get a roundabout, St. James is now also going to get a roundabout. Town not got no room to get a roundabout. All we can even get a community center. The community center always promised from both candidates, but only one way. It is said perhaps they shouldn't hold a cultural because no money there, or perhaps no promoters to host more private events. What? I don't feel like you go was the biggest culture hammer in the history of culture hammer and then no was no culture hammer the next year. That's one. No, I don't believe you, Alicia. You're spreading rumors by me premiere, and I will not have it. Use city fences to protect the works during the execution. Use concrete and asphalt mixers with appropriate materials for the entire project. Oh, this is the one. Materials for the entire project. Soils, aggregates, and quarried stone, concrete, and asphalt should be sourced from the closest to the construction site to reduce transportation. And when I was reading the, I was saying, but I wonder who got chopped and who got quarried were close to the construction site. But anyway, big up to the truck man them. A lot of field them and I said they got to go I can only say what I heard about. No, man. Alicia, you're incorrect on that one there. Alicia, the body that test you. Test the body, they test you. Cause they want to see if you're going to say so true. I know they know you say so. You should not have say so. Cause just guess what? Culture Armor 51 will be the biggest culture armor in history.
Man, cap.
You just don't know that
Cap.
yet. It's about to be the biggest culture armor in history. Rainwater collection. The embryo, the induced work. Yeah, boy, the only thing that we want to talk about is my partner. He's gonna be making many, many, many dollars. He's gonna be making so many dollars. His quarry is gonna be need to be treated to be restored to make sure they don't take out all this stone, the amount of stone them man are about to take out of it. They are also okay. You know what? He might be able to talk about them thing to substantiate. Because some people might not believe that this thing really gonna cost $100 million. So here are some of the things that are gonna be taking place. That one is confusing. He said the expansion project involves maintaining the country's own distinctive architecture, both in the general aviation and cargo terminal, and the control tower and the fire station, the fuel station, and the hangars. With regards to this, right? I don't want no plan. You what the premier personally had nothing to do with the fire station. Cause how the fire truck won't fit in the fire station if I the premier plan? I be got to use somebody else's plan. Let me get the plan or what had the plan who think it's airport. Now that they look like a good plan. Now Mr. Premier, you need to big up the man too, cause they said he's a Nevis man. So see a Nevis man for go design the airport. Yo, let me tell you something. Wouldn't it be kind of wild if a Nevis man designed the Sinkis airport and a Cuban man designed the Nevis airport? Ain't gonna seem kind of well. Maybe it's because what happened and the Nevis man designed the hospital. But anyway, there will be work to realign the main road, and this has conceived what I say a roundabout or traffic circle with a consensual design as an interception that gives entrance to the airport. So in order to get in the airport, you don't go around the roundabout and you're entering or leaving from some international. But that they're not even no big money, Miss Benny. For the north of the airport, an ornamentation with typical vegetation is conceived in the project. That ain't no big money, Miss Benny. Like. Now I start to spend money now. A fuel station project has considered selecting the most suitable type and quality of fuel for the operating aircraft. It introduces the technology for the use of the SAF. That fuel station there is going to cost money. The fuel storage system integrates a safe, efficient, and modern thermal insulation of the tanks and fuel distribution, preventing leaks, spills, and evaporation losses. So you ain't spilling the dollars and potentially blow up your building. The Nevis man ain't design the hospital and he no get no forward. Boy, when the check clear, you know go get no forward though. He models and make it worse, boy. He check them gonna be clear me for life now. That's what 2 terms give. All right. 2 terms give 2/3. If you want 2 terms give 2/3 or 50%. Something like that. So you. Oh yeah, so they're gonna be an up to the date fuel storage system. Fire detection and extinguishing systems are installed at the fuel station, as well as delimiting and signaling risk areas. Money again. In the expansion project, both the general aviation and cargo terminals promote the use of natural light and reduce the need for air conditioning through the use of glass walls and large windows, as well as high roofs. That is proper cheap, this so. I ain't even, listen, me ain't even call it cheap, Mr. Premier. That's frugal. And that gon' look sexy too. A big glass ceiling, yeah. So I ain't hating that the entire. But that's money. I ain't gonna maintain it. Control Tower modernization project. What? Mr. Premier, look them man using the word modernization. I saw hear you say so. I promise, wherever you're there and I hear you say modernization when you really wanted to say world class, I won't just take a shot immediately. Includes the concepts of natural lighting and ventilation to the greatest extent possible. So you can do the same thing in the control door. Good vibe. The use of LED luminaires with high luminous power and low energy consumption is introduced, as well as the use of solar panels to power lighting and air conditioning. One of the things were coming back to me with the solar panel thing. So I realized that the government decided that they might charge people solar panel as soon as the premier says so. He said as soon as possible, we intend to charge anybody who getting alternative energy. And you realize them are going to put alternative energy and you know who not gonna charge themselves. Even if they charge themselves, who you think them are gonna pay? Me don't really understand where the incentive is for the common man when it comes to this alternative energy. So then why should I go do it? Why shouldn't I go burn as much gas as possible? Anyway, a system of beacons using solar energy is introduced. All of this solar you have a cost money to it. Now we gonna walk back about itself, but it's the upfront. You got to write the cash first. An exhaustive analysis of the water supply and the wastewater networks will be carried out, making them more efficient. That will be a very good thing for that area, although it is not a place where get what traditionally just get a lot of water. For the supply of water to the airport and especially to the fire station, external sources like public network, wells, rivers, and internal sources, tank systems, etc., are defined, and the necessary equipment is proposed to guarantee the quality, quantity, and pressure available at all times and at all points of the aerodrome, especially in critical areas. So essentially, they are gonna go on a thorough examination of all the water over there, and they are gonna make sure that that airport they got water at that moment. Them vehicles are what no other wants to. So they dump them on us. Take them and now they are killing us. My option. But Evan, what about the fact that our big was food, Evan? Evan, you got to remember, you feel like all our people just, you feel like all our been people who own a car dealerships, Evan. No, all our been, well, technically in a Nevis, all our been, but, around still. I've been people who does work at TDC. Me no know who be one TDC. I never really see like the full owners and them kind of thing there. I don't know. I don't know who is the biggest shareholders in the business and the main like that. I guess I was told and I did not pay attention particularly very. But you understand what I mean. And when you look at the fact, Evan, when I began custom, $5,000 for the environment every single time. And you still gonna have to put in 84% of custom. You got to buy the car twice. So if you couldn't afford them the once, you got to all look a cheap car, in my estimation. But the point where you stands in terms of if you had the ability to buy a more modern vehicle, you would have had the ability to buy a vehicle with more safety features, with more sensors. You're still gonna need people in these vehicles making proper decisions, mind you. But at least you would hear that there is a collision imminent. Rainwater. Oh yeah, Mr. Premier, by the way, you could use Janice to do the surveys, She is the representative for St. James and she does EIAs and so you could get it work. Tell them you reaching out on all the branch and all them kind of things there. Your supporters are there, they understand. Vehicles don't drive themselves. And to my understanding, only one Tesla in the Federation. Our people need to start having some real consideration to the reviews. But lady, I wasn't even speaking about Teslas. I was speaking about vehicles where okay, for example, there are vehicles right now where even if you park heading down a hill, the vehicle is not gonna move until you put gas. And you're going down a hill. And in a normal vehicle, you got to be on the brakes. You got to get your handbrakes up, them kind of things there in order to stop the vehicle there. Or in modern vehicles, they ain't dealing with them kind of things there. They even let you know when you out a lane, the lane, something coming up. If you put an eye in that, you ain't even go put an indicator. The man will let you know, do not move. In another lane, you say that. You ain't even put an indicator, say you're going over there. So where you're going over there. And if you put an indicator, say you're going over there, you know, see something will come. But we don't have these amenities. That's my consideration. Not the ability. I ask somebody who does, kind of monitor the flex, and I say, what you think is the average age of a vehicle in a Nevis? And we come to the conclusion like before 2010, on an average. Now, if we're gonna go up on average, you're gonna understand you got some people who above average. But for every one of them who above average, you gonna got somebody who is on the other side who equalize that thing there. So for every 2024, he also gonna got a 1996. For every 2016, he gonna got a 2004 too. Who balance out the thing. That's how we're going to reach to the average. So we're not even gonna say that ain't got nobody with the capacity. There is not the capacity there. But me just say the ability for the majority of people to reach the trust the oh my god this word. THR word just kill me. The threshold, the threshold. Oh my god. But I know what I'm trying to say. That was the whole the ability to get there, nah. Referring to the previous comment about getting the video. Oh, well, when we get you say getting the vehicles dumped, you mean like them vehicles that get into Nevis? The ability to get rid of them vehicles. I know that was another topic of there. You hear, of the ability to get rid of all of them vehicles. That was supposed to be some kind of issue. Yeah, I done petition for Janice to get a job. More, rainwater collection systems are introduced and implemented for the rainwater collection and reuse in the irrigation. That's so cool. That ain't supposed to be too expensive either. Although you go set up the irrigation, none of that. The use of groundwater treatment and recycling plant is proposed. So if they are going to go put a groundwater treatment and recycling plant out there, it's money again. As well as the installation of water-saving devices in faucets, toilets, showers, and other consumption points. That's money and maintenance again. It's good. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, how this sound, Mr. Premier, you actually might be able to use the word world class legitimately, by some of these things. You definitely could use modern. This is within the scope. I encourage you to use modern, but you might be able to use world class and be correct for a couple of years. And while I depend on that, I use class in the Mondo track is no longer certified as a level 2 surface. So, Mr. Premier, you got some service, some work to do over by the Mondo track. You need to organize with the people. The application fee is not tremendously high. Don't lie about what the number is. I don't know what the number is, so don't say nothing. Don't say not a penny more. And don't tell me you're getting a discount. And I believe that part there. So I just want to just announce that we're going to get the people to come in and to do the recertification. Because last year, remember, we were making a big noise saying that OECS games might come out and all kind of thing. And no, boy. No idea. But we need to get recertified. This is not a knock on the Mondo chap. But, and the premier know about this too. There was a deadline. Every track surface, as soon as you get certification is not forever. And this is why I keep on mentioning maintenance. When we enter an agreement to do something, there is maintenance what go along with that aspect there. With regards to the track, you are supposed to check in with them and they're supposed to test the track to make sure that it is calibrated for the athletes. So in order to make sure that the athletes are performing and getting the results at the level in our lanes, everything is equal in the performance. It's not like by the jog strip where everybody racing at one lane. Everybody else say if you're down in another lane, they will you lose. I want to eat out. Maintenance. So we don't got to re up on them on the job. So we could get back on the certification list. We don't drag this out. And I can also say, yeah, I did see we are on the UNESCO list. Charlestown is a proposed UNESCO heritage site. Let's also get on that. Let's get a review. You know, we have no reviews. Let's get a review. Let's get a couple of them. Let's get a proposal for when we want to get in officially. I'm against it, but Mr. Premier, if you show me that it is profitable, I will use ultimately. But I don't see no point in keeping Carlson like looking old in my estimation. But Miss minded. Yeah. The design of an incineration station for the disposal of a hazardous waste from international flights has been conceived. Once again, this has to cost money. An incineration station for and your disposal of hazardous waste. Yeah, man, that's money, and that's money. I mean, not saying impossible because I would imagine Antigua got these kind of things. I'm just saying Antigua also has the volume to justify having these type of things. If and that was one of the reasons why I had bring up St. Barts. St. Barts still a depend on flight to come from St. Man, no. St. Barts is not like this accessible place in that manner, you know, you get there on about. You go to St. Man. We have already paving the way for a couple. Farmers cutting the fence to allow the animals eat. But the farmers would be in for a rude away. Ginger and all not eat my tolerate no goat. Must just stick in a dog in some man yard there, you know. For airfield operations, the presence of birds has been defined as a risk, which, although small in size, have an active presence in the airfield environment. In the project for the land use as well as in this one, it is defined not to allow garbage dumps in the areas adjacent to the airport. This is going to be wonderful for that area. You ain't going to be able to throw in a garbage over there. I like that. The limits, no limits are placed on fishing activities. As soon as I say that, to me, them I mean do some limits. They say it is proposed as an initiative for the fishing project to create an area for the cleaning and sale of fish with conditions for waste management away from the limits established by the airport in order to reduce or eliminate the presence of birds in the area. Them are can't clean up fish down in the region. So those all those fish fry. Now I have an understanding. Me is who put up the picture he frying a fish. Why? Boiled fish. I don't got to go check. To be honest, I haven't been paying attention. So don't take no big offense. Mr. Jeffers. But me ain't see no fish pictures for a while. You know, man. When this coming, it does not seem like there will be any in the future. But the good thing is, which is also gonna be more money, they're gonna erect some sort of structure or area for the cleaning and selling of this fish. Essentially a fish market. Them are all a bit. A modern fish market, Mr. Premier. Cause I don't feel like you're gonna build a modern airport for the European passengers and then African the African domestic persons have a fish market that coming from the 1800s. We would like a 2024 fish market, please. That would be really appreciated. Perimeter fencing, that dying no money. There will be a drainage system of the runway, and they say that this drainage system is gonna last for 100 years. And this is gonna guarantee the evacuation of water in at least 6 hours. Okay. Sound good. That sound like money though. That seems to sound like money though. 100-year drainage system. That seems to sound like some money. There's gonna be a weather observation and forecasting and early warning systems are proposed. This look like so we could yeah, basic. When hurricane coming, have an idea them things there. Pressure, them type of stuff. Sound good. Sounds like money again as well. As I say. And also maintenance. Especially for the fact if these things are not there currently, well, whether they are there currently or not, if they are there, this still mean that they would need to be replaced. And when they come in, they would have to be maintained. Grounding of the fuel facility and the buildings on the land site, as well as lighting systems, are proposed. Okay, that's an electrician makes some money days only to me. Filling up the sea in two areas, one to protect the extension of the runway and its safety strip, and the other one to protect the extension of the northern roadway of the airfield, is as well conceived. So they're going to be taking back some land from the sea. That's going to be costing money. That's where my partner from the quarry is especially going to make. No, them man not always the quarry. The only the truck them gonna make money that time. I apologize. Not the quarry. The quarry will be making money for other trips, not for these particular trips. Use of a system of city fences by means of stone slopes that protect these constructions from the thrust and rise of tides. Soon as I say them man say stone, so that means the quarry ever make money again. So take it back. There's no time the boss is not gonna be making money. You gonna let NRP talk and say whether it's a conflict of interest or not. But really and truly, the last thing I wanted to talk was about my premier's article in the Miami Herald. His lovely article. Soliciting money again. Oh my god. When you go on the article there? You possibly go on the article. Tell me if you can. Hmm? In the man. Oh, sorry. I'm an ass. I apologize. I was saying to you. Yo, I'll do it. Okay. Yeah, well, I like the writing of my premiere. Oh yeah, and yeah, just to let you all know, this is an op-ed. Okay, so the premiere was printed in the Miami Herald. He wrote this. I don't have to ask anything about any quotation or anything. This is a Mark A.G. Brantley at his finest here. Okay, history books will tell you that Nevis is the birthplace of one of the United States founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, and is a land that has endured significant hardship and struggle during the global slave trade. Okay, start off with roots. We start off in the 1600s, 16 and 17. Let me see where we're going. Today, we are writing our own history and are quietly forging our own path while maintaining close ties with key international partners, including the US and especially Florida. So, Mr. Premier, you're really talking to me right now. The government will be embarking on major projects in the coming years. And if you click, you got a link to some of these projects here. On a scale one may consider surprising for an island of just 36 square miles. As a small yet incredibly important example, my government is working to enhance the facilities at Vance W. Amory International Airport, which we hope will soon be able to welcome direct flights from the US East Coast and new destinations, including Miami. I do not think that this should have been oh, I would like to hear the premiere. We'll be sipping a dapper, definitely. I would like and Clyde, you need to understand too. I find the foreign extra to it. I don't. I mean, it's fine. A Guinness is a Guinness. You better believe it. But the foreign extra, yeah, that's the real unit. Yeah. So I was saying about I would like to hear the premier say rather than we will hope to soon be able to welcome direct flights to say I would like to hear some kind of date. I need to hear we're gonna be operational in the summer of 2026, for example, in January of 2027, something like this. So we got some timelines, so we get some figures, so we got something to expect. Especially, Mr. Premier, you could use it for the election. I don't tell you. Tell them and only you can be able to finish the airport. Don't tell them nothing on the figures are nothing like so what right now. Like cover down the airport with tarpaulin too. I don't feel like you're gonna be able to paint this one. Until I be like the shell is constructed. No, don't do that one there. Cover down the whole airport with tarpaulin and say only you can be able to finish. Florida is a region with whom we share particularly deep cultural ties, rich with Nevisian diaspora. Indeed, I tell you, you're talking to me. But it is imperative we ensure greater connectedness, not just with Florida, but also with the wider US, especially during a politically turbulent time. I thought you, I thought you loved the Donald. Political turbulence. What are you talking about? The current geopolitical landscape means the Caribbean is a region often overlooked. Yet we are a region determined to advance our goals. It is a testament to to our strength of character that we bounce back so resiliently from the global pandemic with which devastated economies strongly reliant on tourism. Today, more people than ever want to visit Nevis, with global investor appetite higher than ever in one of the twin islands comprising the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. As a forward-thinking regional financial center, we must not shy away from introducing new methods of thinking to catalyze our growth. The hallmark of any successful economy is the ability to look to new and old partners for collaboration and new opportunities. Yo. All right, Mr. Premier. Um, Nothing that he has said thus far seems to be problematic in my head. The only thing I would query, I would like us to do more as a regional financial center. In that aspect, I would like us to do a little more. But I would not query anything that he has said so far. Ultimately, my government welcomes foreign investment that serves to benefit our community for generations to come. However, our bold ambitions for economic growth must materialize sustainably. As a Caribbean island, we cannot escape the fact that we are among those most susceptible to the impacts of climate change. This thing here about welcoming money that serves the benefit of the Nevis community, in my estimation, when you're dealing with capitalism and capitalism, they are not investing any money for the benefit of generations to come. They invest in money for a return on investment. So ultimately, if there is not an a common interest and they can't see how they're going to win from news, these are wonderful words. These could be a hint. It is anticipated that by 2050, economic impacts from climate change could amount to 10% of regional GDP, which this increasing to 20% by the end of the century. Wow, that's a lot of money from climate change. We of the Caribbean continue to stand on the front lines of a war that we did not start and one to which we have not contributed. I, Mr. Premier, let's be real. If you want to say we have not contributed as much as other countries, but we definitely contribute to climate change. You don't see this some of the people on the road. Like, come on, news contributes to climate change all the time. We participate in the global economy. How the hell you don't participate in the global economy and not participate to carbon in the atmosphere? Planes, done in a spliff. We of the Caribbean, no. It is my abiding aspiration that Nevis can become a regional leader in sustainable energy development, for we are an island blessed with natural resources. Okay. This, however, requires greater investment and expertise not just from the US, but beyond. My government has secured major investment from the Caribbean Development Bank towards the drilling of geothermal production and injection wells, with a number of inter-regional and international contractors shortlisted to bid on the project. I envision significant progress to be made in 2020. Um, there is not, there is no way for me to accurately measure the amount of bullshit in that statement. I don't feel if one couple was to run his truck, if you tell what one couple, listen, your truck will never run out of gas while you're doing this job. I want you just transport the amount of shit what the premier just said in that one sentence there and get at the out of Nevis. One couple would tell you, listen, just give me now. You know, in a sense, I can't carry all of that shit there. Nobody could carry all of that shit there. This sounds wonderful until you understand. You get 17 million commitment, right? For a project where it's $100,000. So you basically get $10 million commitment so far in your finances. For a project, as I said, which is which started at 150 with the way how materials and stuff about. Ain't no way this thing is not gonna be 200 million. Ain't no way. So if this is $200 million, the one thing that you have to do in order to secure these bids, because by the way, we keep talking about how come these bids are defective all the time. I think the real problem is the financing. Yeah. If we had the amount of dollars that it took to get these wells, we would have this thing done by now. Ain't no way. Ain't no way around it. He envisions significant progress to be made in 2025. Captain Crunch. That's serial talk. We also are actively pursuing several renewable energy projects to address our short-term needs. Together with international partners, Nevis can become a net energy exporter and a global sustainability leader. Indeed, by 2030, my government wishes to see 100% of electricity generated by renewable energy resources. Once again, Mr. Premier, if you are able to achieve this, let me step it up. I ain't just gonna vote for you. I'm campaigning for you. Ain't gonna be no rally round the West Indies, it's gonna be rally round Mark Brantley. 100% by 2030. For reference, Dominica has started their geothermal project for over a decade. Dominica is not yet at the stage where they are producing. And they don't stop, they're actually in the earth. So what is this man trying to tell me, bro? This ain't happening by 2030. This is mind games and tricks. This is an illusion. My government knows more must be done on all fronts to ensure Nevis' potential is maximized. Public-private partnerships will no doubt be crucial to our future success across a host of sectors from construction and finance to tourism and energy. I am not opposed to this. I would just like to know the terms. The terms must be disclosed. The public part must be that we know the terms. That's it. Enhancing connectedness with the US marks a good start, but now is the time for a truly game changing investment in our island, one which history books will remember fondly. I am blessed to call Nevis my home. It is a unique body of land rich with culture and opportunity. I know it is my government's duty to unlock Nevis's true potential, and rest assured, this is something we will achieve. Written in the Miami Herald by Mr. Marbury. Yeah. Well, I had to click on one of these and come and see. Maybe going on this citizenship investment. See, what? Citizenship investment. Oh, they want people invest in it. Trust me, and there we have it, people. Me giving respect to my goat, Mr. Matt Brownlee, on his op-ed in the Miami Herald. Um, the only thing I had an issue with basically was like this 2030 thing. I do think that the premier is latching on to the fact that geothermal is the most important project. I do think, and I think that as a result of that, that he's promising that he's gonna get it done by 2030. And rather than speak about geothermal, let's focus on the hospital for now. Let's take it one step at a time. With geothermal, let's be more realistic and long term and understand, Mr. Premier, you are not gonna be the one that God, even though I'm still learning. You are not gonna be the one who ultimately executes geothermal. It should not be you. We cannot trust you. And I'm not even saying that you cannot trust CCM, but we cannot trust Matt Brownlee to deliver geothermal energy. And if that's the case, we're going to have to go in another direction. Somebody gonna have to be the one to fulfill that. You should focus on negotiating the deal. Negotiate the financing. How about that? You negotiate the financing and the conception of the deal. Somebody else gonna finish it. And I will remember that you are remembered for this. This still gonna be your legacy. But ain't no way in hell you should be allowed to spend millions of dollars. This should be 2025, approximately 3 years and 2 months. You're supposed to be looking at you in office, and you had a good legacy. You win twice. You were at one point the most powerful player in Nevis history. And and you're still young. Do it Obama style. And get your grey card in it. That's what needs to take place. Because I think you're done, buddy. But not a bad op-ed, except for the I can't even say that's a bad op-ed. it was basically a fisherman's op-ed. You went over to sea, you come back in, you ain't supposed to tell nobody your fish. Smallest thing. And you ain't make up nothing except the 2030 story. And besides the fact that you conceal that you actually made your funding gap. Who's gonna invest $132 million in Nevis? What the goodness of the heart. In a capitalist world when we have people scrambling for money. I see something this morning talking about Wall Street, the financial people in America saying they're expecting Wall Street to have a tough year this year. So I don't know that things are gonna be going well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you all are safe. I hope that y'all were able to be informed somewhat this evening. As I said, I'm gonna be on Tell Me late the last Thursday in this month. The rest told me that we got another Rastafarian from the cannabis, the Medical Cannabis Commission, who is going to be on with us on the last Tuesday of this month. As I said, I hope you are informed, even though the topic concerned the tragic incident that occurred. I hope that the discussion on the laws was helpful, was useful. I hope that you learn that we do have provisions speaking about the requirement of being strapped in and requirement for the children, well, children of particular ages to be in the back, strapped in. Particular ages, particular heights, particular weights. And I hope you join me next week so that we can have a further discussion. Next week we might touch up a little bit and define the audited reports, because there were a couple of things. When I read the audited reports today, the audacity of the premier struck me. You have phenomenal confidence, sir. I respect you for the amount of confidence when you are failing so spectacularly. But good evening, and speak to you all next week. Wait, Java, me married to a redskin. What do you mean? Married to a redskin? I don't get bite from a redskin? For sure. Redskin turned me down. Yes, redskin do boy. Oof. Had a redskin try rob me at time. She didn't get through. You're not very friendly right now.
Think with your heart, don't think with your body, clever. Sorry not sorry, sorry not Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my wish that you was me instead. Ay, I wanted to rock with you, roll with